Nelly Korda has won a 10th LPGA Tour title and her second of the season this past weekend, winning the 2024 Seri Pak Championship on a blustery final day in a playoff. In this video, I'm going to take a deeper look into her swing to see why it works so well and what we can learn from it. So one of the main reasons people admire Nelly's swing is not really anything technical, it's just the tempo. Her swing is so smooth, there's nothing rushed to it, it's not jerky in any way. She just sort of seems to wind up to the top and let it go really nicely. That is something we all could do and we all would probably benefit from, but there's nothing really technical about that. You just need to go and make smooth swings, basically. Starting at her address position, Nelly's a tall woman. She has quite long arms, but she stands to the ball beautifully. She's perfectly in balance. Her shoulders aren't too far out over her toes, and her backside is sort of nicely over her heels, which is brilliant. Most golfers I see are definitely sat too far back and bent over too much, which just gets you out of balance when you're trying to turn. She stands with her feet sort of just wider than shoulder width apart. Something really subtle that she does at address, which I quite like, is how her head is just tilted ever so slightly away from the target. This is going to help her turn better on the way back, nothing more than that, but it's just something quite nice that I think people miss. The other thing to notice is she has quite a weak grip, which for someone who likes to play a draw is unusual, but it will help her hit it a bit higher and also stop the ball going too far left. So for a player who wants more club head speed, this can be quite a good strategy to take, because it actually encourages you to throw the club harder and release the club harder, which will give you an added bit of club head speed. Someone who, with a strong grip, who likes to play a draw, they have to hold the club off through the release to stop the ball overturning, which actually slows the club head down. So trying to hit a draw with a weak grip is quite a good idea, really, to get you throwing the club. Moving into her takeaway, something really interesting here is how quickly she gets the club head moving in this first part of the swing without her body really doing anything. This is a sequencing move, and for anyone who's sort of familiar with the Ledbetter upbringing she's had, they're really big on sequencing. The club head travels the furthest relative to the hands, the shoulders and the body. So the club head needs to start off quicker than everything else in order to reach the top at the same time as everything else. So Nelly does this by just really starting her swing with an early wrist hinge. This is quite a good thing to do for players who struggle with an inside takeaway, because it gets the club working up much quicker. Nelly reaches an A1 perfect takeaway position with it, where her hands have moved in away from where they started. The club head is just at the end of her hands. Her hands are just outside of the right foot. She's maintained good width, but she has started to set her wrist earlier than we see some people do. Nothing wrong with that though. Up to the top, from down the line, we see a really nice left arm to club position, almost all one straight line, which is really good. I really like how the club face is square to the shaft, and square to the wrist, which is brilliant. The club face is so neutral. From this position, she can hit draws and fades. She can really do whatever she likes from there. There's a bit of daylight between the knees, which I like. There's a good amount of hip turn, and Nelly has quite a steep shoulder plane here, I would say, and that's just an elite ball striker's move. If you struggle with your angle of attack, fat and thin a lot of shots, and you want to move the low point of your swing forwards, then tilt swinging back with your shoulders on a more tilted angle is going to help you do that. Right now, from face on, what I absolutely love about Nelly's swing is how well she pivots. She basically doesn't move her body, or it appears as though she doesn't really move to the top. Now, in order to do that, you actually have to work really hard. For things to look that simple, it's actually very complicated. You do have to work really hard to do that. She's like pivoted her hips really centered. She's kept her upper body really centered as well. And she gets into a position at the top where she's like just right on top of the ball. That's an absolute flushes position at the top. You know, you can tell she's an elite ball striker with her irons and wedges. She's so on top of the ball. I really admire that. From the top, this is where we start to see some interesting things. So as Nelly starts down, what we're going to see is a good, strong transition to her left side to start the downswing. A good lateral shift, you know, almost a full thigh across there, which is awesome. And actually, Nelly brings her arms down in front of her quite a lot in this phase of the swing, which actually gets us into an interestingly, not steep position, but it's definitely more of a fade bias position. I would definitely consider this more of a faders position, because if she continues to turn her body hard from here, she's definitely going to have an out to in path and definitely fade it. Now, we know Nelly likes to hit draws, so she's going to have to do something here to try and recover that. So what she does is she actually early extends a little bit into impact, so her hips have moved in towards the ball a little bit. She's a little bit up on her toes. You can just see that in her left foot, how that she's definitely up on her toes there. That's just a reaction because the shaft is a little bit steep for a draw here. So her method of shallowing is hips moving into the ball, her right shoulder tilting down, and she has like quite high hands at impact again because she's trying to shallow the club from the fade position into a draw position, and then she has to release the club very hard. So like you can see there, she's released the face quite significantly. There's definitely no Victor Hovland here. There's no Tommy Fleetwood or Dustin Johnson here. She's releasing the club really hard. Again, this is because she's got a weak grip. This is because she's in like a fairly steepish position coming down. She really has to throw the club at the bottom to shut the face and to get that path on the inside going out. Working into the finish, things are absolutely textbook. She sort of refines her balance. Her arms are nicely out in front of her, which is perfect for a draw. She has massive extension. I absolutely love this like long right arm position she gets into, where the club is really just an extension of her right arm, and she keeps her arms really straight for a really long time. That's absolutely beautiful. Look at how extended her left leg is, her hips are, her spine is, her arms are. It's absolutely beautiful into the finish. So what can we learn from Nelly's swing? Like all the swings I've analysed this year, all these tour players have brilliant setups. They stand to the ball really well, they're well balanced, they've got good grips, they've got good ball positions, they've got good postures, they've got good tilts. These things are all free. You know, you don't have to work hard to do any of these things. A good setup is something that you can just master at home with a mirror on the range. And if we start from a good place, it just makes everything so much easier. We can control the club better. We can move our bodies into better positions. Well, we shouldn't really be starting from a disadvantaged position if we can help it, and we can definitely help. The second thing is the backswing sequencing. If you've got an inside takeaway, then you need to start the club head going up much quicker, and this comes from a wrist hinge. Look how you can almost see how in Nelly's takeaway, her hands almost work towards the target before they start working back. And that's because she's hinging her wrist straight away. Look how early she's moving that club in the air. It's got off the ground really quickly. And that's what gets the club into a perfect takeaway position. If you're trying to stay wide, keep it low and slow and all that nonsense, people generally set their wrist way too late. That gets the club inside, it gets them coming over the top. So if you can start the club by working up, by using your wrist and earlier hinge, that's going to help you get the club into a better position at the top, help you transition better, help you hit it more from the inside. Again, this is something that happens at the start of the swing. It's really easy to do this. This is, again, it's almost free. This, you know, working on stuff in the downswing is really hard, but working on stuff in your setup in the first move, it's actually really easy. So if you can work on that backswing sequencing, that'll also really help. And then the final thing is just this extension through the ball. Nelly has thrown everything at it. Hips, knees, chest, arms, wrists, club. Everything's extended in through the ball into her finish. This is what you've got to do in order to hit the ball higher, to carry the ball further, to swing faster. Really, you need to feel like as you strike the ball, everything is moving up. You're pushing your arms away, pushing your hips forward. The more extension that you get, the longer you're going to carry the ball. So I would really encourage people to work on that too. If you've liked what I've had to say about Nelly's swing, please go back and have a look at Scotty Scheffler's swing analysis that I've done. And if you're interested in online lessons, please get in touch. The link is in the description to get in contact with me. I would love to try and help you with your game.